Hello and welcome to the iRacing Formula 3.5 series live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick, and alongside me, coming up for the next race is Lee Thompson with Sam Kumo on the cameras. We're here at Phillip Island in Australia. And Lee, fantastic to be around this circuit, another fast-flowing circuit, a bit like what we saw at Suzuka and like also we've seen at Barcelona and Silverstone. And despite this circuit not being known necessarily for its single-seater racing, it will be a decent mix for this Formula 3.5 car.
Yeah, absolutely. So, evening, everybody. What a cracking circuit, as you say, Phillip Island is. It's flowing, undulating, amazing location on the coast. Cracking circuit. As you say, I don't suppose I see many single-seaters there in real life. Mostly, of course, for the MotoGP guys we see running there, as well as the Australian series. But it's going to suit the 3.5s, I think. Like I say, lots of medium to high-speed corners, plenty to get their teeth into, and then that really, really long front straight down into turn 2.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I didn't realise that Phillip Island was actually an island. I thought it was a bit like Rhode Island, you know.
No, I can see that.
Obviously isn't an island, but no, Phillip Island's a legit island. And of course, you can see the seagulls, which fall into the cars most likely. Not a pretty sight by any means, but it's certainly not right next to the sea, and it is a fantastic location to plonk a race circuit, no doubts. Joe is just doing qualifying at the moment. Of course, qualifying 8 minutes, 2 laps. The driver's been set. And then it's a 29-lap race, so more laps than we're used to. That's just because the track is a little bit shorter than its counterparts this season. And we are just advancing, in fact, to the grid. So we can go through the starting order, and it is Christophe Herbinot on pole position, Francesco Fioroni in second. Then it's Matti Sippler in third. Then it's Manuel Domingo, Hone Kahanen, Julien Nashi, Rob Bohr, Paul Ilbrink, once again, a little bit of a poor qualifying for him down in 8th place. Dominic Gademeyer, Alessandro Roccatello, Edward Samborski, Phil Reed, Ronaldo Augusto, David Pacelli, Thomas Knoll, James Malau, Bruno Canavas, and Andreas Nielsen, rounding out these 18 drivers.
Yeah, nice to see a decent size grid for today as well. How are we looking championship-wise with the week that's progressed so far?
I was just looking at previously, Lubomir Moric leading the way with Christophe Herbinot in second place and Tim Delar in third. So watch out for those drivers out there, as a few more drivers just lining up on the grid at the moment. Just got Paul Ilbrink and Herbinot, in fact, to get onto the grid before we can get away.
Yeah, Herbinot keeping everybody waiting, but looking like a little bit of a mixed grid out there. As you say, Ilbrink down in 8th is kind of interesting. Augusto down in 13th is maybe a bit lower than we tend to see him. Same for Thomas Knoll as well, all the way down in 15th. So interesting to see how it shapes up to go for the rest of the race. Herbinot finally takes to the grid. Here's lights.
Yes, here we go then. So it's Christophe Herbinot on the pole position. Fioroni in second place. 29 laps around Phillip Island are underway. Not a fantastic start by any means for Fioroni, already dropped down to 4th place, almost away from the launch. Sippler moves up into second as we race through the first corner and into turn 2 already. Sippler, in fact, maybe just taking the lead there. Terrific start for him. Up 2 places. Herbinot just caught maybe a little bit napping going into turn 2, and that is brilliant driving from him. However, they're still side by side are the 2 leaders. 1/10 of a second separating them. Rob Bohr falls down 11 places to 18th as we see side by side into the first hairpin. That is a bold move, definitely, from Herbinot, but he retakes the lead then. Sippler in second place through the banks of left-hander, and he does a fantastic job of defending. Great start as well for Phil Reed, up 5 places. Not a good start for Paul Ilbrink catching up a couple of places as well.
Yeah, Augusto just seeing dropping down the order as well, so he's been involved in an incident just in the last couple of corners. Paul Ilbrink up just a couple of spots from his starting grid. Looked pretty clean at the front for those first tight section of the circuit, but as you say, Herbinot managing to get back in front of Sapala very nicely indeed through the hairpin, as they already, of course, finishing the lap. It's such a short lap round here at Phillip Island, especially these high performance cars. We see Julian Nucci challenging Thomas Knoll and Domingo, getting past Kaisunen as well as they come down the front straight there. The toe on these cars having quite an effect, it looked like, on Domingo there. And Urbano super quick on that first lap, 7 tenths quicker than anyone else that time by.
Yeah, pulling out a lead already. We know that the tub makes a little bit of an effect on these cars, and that maybe just helped them build a bit of an advantage already. Joel Reed trying to continue this good progress, trying to get past Paul Ilbrink, a very experienced driver, of course. Ilbrink, in recent rounds at least, has always been struggling to qualify. Usually qualifies down in 6th to 8th places. We've got a driver around in the background, that Nat Chi. Actually getting back underway quite quickly, so just getting stuck on the inside of the circuit there, but he's down 6 places from his start, so frustrating for him, and that's the issues we have at that hairpin. We always see crashes in MotoGP there, and in these single seaters, it's no more simple.
No, absolutely, yes. It's certainly very tricky in that section. I can imagine getting the power of these guys out of that hairpin is no small feat. We can see Herben up front making a break for it, 1.3 seconds, but Fiorani here under lots of pressure as Sepala gets straight back in front of him again after losing that position last time by. So back to Herben, Sepala, then Ferroni, then Domingo, then Kynan, then Reed, then Ilbrink side by side with Reed it was, so Reed ahead of Ilbrink now. Ilbrink down to 7th with Samborski, then 8th. Thomas Knowles made up a fistful of places as well, up to 9th, gained 6 positions from his start, and Kaida Meyer then in 10th. But yeah, it really does look like that front straight, Sam, is going to be creating lots of opportunities all race long. The guys can certainly make use of that toe.
Yeah, and they also have a few DRSs as well to use, I believe. Something like 8 across the race. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to look at how many DRSs they have all left, but keep an eye out, and I think you can just see the rear wing change a little bit at times, but you do really have to keep your eyes out to be aware. Here comes Fioroni down the inside into the 2nd hairpin, but his rival's going to have the inside for the next part of the track, but fantastic momentum for the Italian, and that is really good driving. I had to be brave, had to have a lot of trust in his rival that he wouldn't understeer into him, but once again, incredible straight line speed there for Sipler. I don't know maybe if he's just using the DRS there, but it's working a treat. And now from attack to defense for Fiorini, because he's going to be under pressure from Domingo. Is that just a low drag concept maybe for Sipler, which is working well for him, or is he in those DRSs?
I think so, but historically, Sam, you're the man to pick out those differences in the rear wing. But to me, it looks like Sepala has got a tiny rear wing compared to both Fiorani and Domingo. So whether some of that's just the livery differences, but I think, his rear wing looks a hell of a lot skinnier.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you're absolutely right, I think.
So that might just keep ebbing and flowing through the race. You know, Fiorani gets him on the infield, and he's already shaping him up again, maybe for the same spot as he did last time by. And then Sepala's going to get straight by again.
Fantastic.
How much more speed can he carry through here? He can just drive straight around the outside of him almost there. Oh, and he does get moved. I thought he was going to end up being a bit more cautious, but no, not at all. And Sepala again just hangs on to that inside straight away, but Domingo looking to get his nose right in amongst it instantly as well.
Runs wide, does Fiorini. Probably better for him to be behind at this point in the track, because then he can get the slipstream down this next pit straight. But here comes Domingo. He's now got the slipstream, and despite these two having similar drag, it seems, down the straight, Domingo with that slight twinge of slipstream, pulling ahead round the outside through turn 1, easy flats out for these drivers, and he gets past them. So this is frustrating for Fiorini, and that high downforce, that low straight line speed, just really costing him when it comes to racecraft. It looks absolutely really quick out there, and I think he might have the pace to win this race, but right now just getting a little bit shoved out by his rivals. And as they keep on fighting, they keep on inviting now these drivers behind Kayan, and right behind in 5th place, then it's Reed and Ilbrink, all very quick drivers.
Yeah, like I said, it'd be interesting to see now whether Sipala can catch up to the back of Herbano. So he's only lost a couple of seconds in all that time squabbling away, so we'll see whether he can pull it now that he's not losing this time in the infield. But yeah, Fiorani not able to repeat his trick on Domingo, of course, with Domingo having that similar looking higher downforce. Ilbrink still not back in front of Reed, so Phil Reed has just been able to keep pulling away, and he's trying to drag himself now up to Kynan as well. So this is fairly quickly beginning to draw together for like a 5-car group from 3rd down to 7th as Reed is let's get Kynan, sorry.
Easy there. Was a long way back, but I think these guys can get a really good tow actually from kind of the final corner, which is almost flat out all the way to turn 2. Because turn 1 is flat as well. So plenty of overtaking so far. Great to see. Once again, side by side with Domingo having to defend from Fiorini. Just having to give way is the Italian. But around this entire mid part of the circuit, he is looking really quick, and Domingo struggling to keep up with Sipler up the road, who is actually catching up to Herbino. So any one of these top, probably 7 drivers have got a decent chance. It's difficult to tell who the absolute fastest one is because they're all fighting one another. It's really difficult to tell how much pace they actually have under their sleeve. And also see Reed going past Kynan. Sorry, that was in turn 1 on this lap.
Yeah, sorry, Sam. So yeah, obviously it's a short old lap, but even so, the looking at the last lap times for the whole field, there's not much more than half a second in the majority of the cars. As we see Bohr and Nachi, is it? Oh, spins on the outside line. Does Porcelli? It is, sorry. So Bohr and Porcelli. Bohr somehow managed to continue. Whether he really picked up any damage, we shall see. But yeah, Porcelli just not able to keep that rear end check on that wider line as he tried to drive past. And Reed now defending from Kynan as well after getting past the lap before. So I was just about to say, yeah, it's been super close out there. So looking at the last laps, most of the field, most of the top half of the field are in the 14s, and the leader's only in a 14.5. So it's really not much of a field spread in lap times at the minute at all.
No, it's really close there. So great to see. Very competitive top split. This only 36 drivers. Yeah, Rob Bohr.
So he did have damage, and I would suggest. So perhaps he did pick up some damage maybe from Porcelli, who actually ironically now passes him off track. And yeah, I can see Bohr's already got the front wing damage there. And so no doubt that's going to affect his run into the hairpin. Or is it going to be contact with this car as well? It is. He tries to defend the outside line, gets rear-ended by the car behind, and unceremoniously dispatched off the circuit. So Roccatello it was who misjudged maybe how early Rob Bohr had to brake with his damaged wing, but it was an aggressive defence from Bohr there. Domingo, fastest lap last time by.
Yeah, 1/10 faster than the race here. Once again, ever so close. Fiorini now struggling to keep up. It looked so quick earlier on, but now they've lost the toe or yeah, just maybe some damage, not quite sure, but struggling to keep up with the top 3. Reed now 0.8 of a second behind Kynan, still really close to Reed. Reed kind of got quite past him quite simply, but Kynan has done a very good job since then of keeping him in touch. Zamborski also very close behind, only 0.7 of a second behind Ilbrink, who's not making much progress at the moment. This is considering that Ilbrink usually finishes on the podium in I think pretty much every race with broadcasters so far in this series. Not necessarily wins, but usually 2nd or 3rd position. Struggling to make much of an impact at the moment, but as Lee was saying just before, they are all so evenly matched that those starting places could be quite significant in the end.
Certainly looks more competitive at the front than we've seen in maybe some of the other races. We tend to see maybe the top 1, 2, 3 guys break away from the rest of the field and then see some nice battles further back. But as you say, we can see the top 10 all on the front straight as the toe is doing a job for Ilbrink past Kynan that time by as well, as he drafts in behind Reed as they now flow into that lovely long turn 2. I was going to say turn 3 there for some reason, as it continues into the infield of the section. But yeah, Ilbrink then back up to 6th. We'll see if he can hold off Kynan or if he is going to be looking to pressure Reed. But yeah, super close between 2nd back grid. Herbino is still just pulling that gap a little bit, so he's got a good 3-second gap now or so to Sipler. So it's not like Sipler's suddenly got a lease of life now that he's not getting challenged from behind every lap. But be interesting to know what downforce configuration Herbino's gone for. Which is, has he gone for the low downforce of Sipler, or has he gone for the higher downforce level of Domingo and Fiorini, who we've been seeing? So analysis time, Sam. What's his rear wing look like to you?
Well,
I think that's high downforce to me.
Yeah, that looks like quite a significant wing. So that is our diagnostic for you. 3.5 seconds now, the gap between the top two. On that last lap, 0.7 of a second faster for Matty Sibler.
Wow.
Domingo closing in by 0.4 of a second, though, on the driver currently running second place, but certainly Herbnate seemingly has got an edge, but still a long way to go in this race. And we saw in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix series about a year and a half ago, quite high tyre degradation around this place. What downforce were you running for that race for Apex Racing? Apex Racing UK, of course, at the time. What type of downforce were you running for this event?
Really couldn't tell you, Sam. I've got no idea. So long ago that I last looked at it. But I'm guessing not that high. Yeah, because there's such a long front straight. As we've seen with Sipler with his low downforce, you're just going to be getting eaten up otherwise on the front straight if you're running too high. So I would guess it was a medium to low kind of level. But let's see if Domingo can even get any kind of draft effect off. Well, he's getting the effects, but if he's getting the net gain, or whether Sipler's low downforce is just going to disappear off the nose of Domingo, and he's still pulling away. So that downforce is just not allowing Domingo to get any kind of a chance to get past anywhere other than the infield.
Almost sounds like Domingo's in the rev limiter as well. I'm not quite sure, but that rev note seems to be quite high pitched and very stable. So maybe he hasn't got any opportunity to go even faster, even though he's got the toe. Fiorini hanging on to 4th place, but you don't think he's going to hang on for a whole lot longer. Another 4.5 of a second loss to Phil Reed on that last lap. Ilbink's got past Kayanen. And Semborski still just there or thereabouts. I can't see a whole lot of Semborski so far, but he is very much there. Wouldn't rule him out of a top 5 by any means. Ilbink really on the tail now of Reed. He lost this place earlier on in the race, but maybe just hang on to those tyres a bit better, or probably more likely just Reed having to getting a little bit held up behind Fiorini. Fiorini's so slow down the pit straight, it seems, so all they have to do is stay quite close, maybe get within about 0.4 of a second going into the final corner, and they should be in with a good chance of overtaking into turn 2, but they're still a second behind as we speak.
And it looks to me like Reed and Ilbrink have gone for the low rear wing option, whereas we know Fiorini's got the high rear wing, as has Kynan from looks of it to me. So didn't seem like Reed really gained a huge amount on Fiorini down that lap, but we can see the top speeds actually 276 for Fiorini and 292 for Reed, 294 for Ilbrink behind. So for sure they had that top speed, but didn't really seem to gain much down the straight. Thomas Knoll and Dominic Geidemeyer, big collision into turn 2. Looks like Knoll came off a little bit worse. Sam Kumo no doubt will get the replay up for us to have a look and see how that developed, but it looked very, very clumsy going into turn 2 there. So Thomas Knoll following behind initially, and down the front straight, gets the outside line, what's going to be turn 1. That'll give him the inside line then for turn 2. Looks like he's already got the move made, so Gardemeyer's going to go into the back of him, is he? No, gets the inside line back there for turn 1. Thomas Knoll still hang on, and looked like Thomas maybe just didn't quite keep as close to the curb as he initially was. He was nice and tight on the very start of the apex and then seemed to drift out a little bit. Equally, maybe Gardemeyer didn't quite leave the space he could have. So 6 of one, half dozen the other, unfortunately, on that one, I think. But it looked like a good little sequence of battling until that point.
Yeah, it really was. Ilbrink against Reed. Ilbrink gets past. Great straight line speed. They are, wow, look at that closing speed into turn 2. I mean, right at the end of that straight, you're absolutely rightly. The top speed difference in particular is absolutely massive. And then you see Ilbrink do that very next corner, losing a lot of the time. I think the time that we were watching those guys down the pit straight, I think they gained 0.7 of a second on Fiorini between kind of the penultimate corner and turn 2, because that entire section you are 100% flat out. So as long as you're within probably 0.8 of a second coming out of that penultimate corner, you're probably going to be able to get the move done. Problem is they're trying to stay within a second at the moment, 0.9 of a second at the moment. But even through this middle part of the lap, can gain 0.2 of a second. Just that's flat out part of the track. So you can see why they're going for a low downforce. Sets up almost a move from Heinen to get back past Phil Reed, who is up 6 places, one of the highest gainers so far in this event. And Ilbrink now 1.3 seconds behind Fiorini, so he's lost about 0.6 of a second just through those handful of corners. Fascinating to watch the gap because it literally goes up and down just in a single lap.
And Kynan now coming under pressure from Samborski in the background. There we go. Looks like Kynan's going to sweep around the outside and have the position ready for turn 2, and he does. Yeah, Samborski just reminding Kynan that he's still lurking back there, ready to pick up on any mistakes up ahead. Interestingly, just noticing, looking at the timing screen, Phil Reed is the only non-A-class driver in the whole field. Doing a good job running up in 6th place. So strong.
Also, Fiorini, car number 10, so he's got the 10th highest fly rating out here. Running in an impressive 4th place. Reed number 8, Urbano number 5, and he's leading this race. I imagine they're all relatively similar though. Although number 1, Paul Ilbrink, boy, has a bit of a lead with all those World Championship qualifiers and races that he's taken parts in. Urbano not extending the gap too much. As I say that, actually, he's managed to pull out about half a second just on this tour. So he's just edging it out slightly, but I think he's actually running slightly higher downforce than Sipler. Well, I think everyone's higher downforce than Sipler, to be fair. I don't know if you're watching the timing screen, Lee, but I've literally just seen the timing screen go from 4.2 to 3.3 in about 15 seconds. I mean, it's incredible, Sipler straight line speed. I wouldn't want to beat Domingo because how is he possibly going to get past?
Yeah, it's really interesting there, looking at the lap timings on the bottom of the screen that Sam Samuli brought up. Even though we've got these such different configurations between Sapala and Domingo, there's been no more than a 10th in it for each lap for the last 5 laps. So what a cracking circuit to be able to enable these different configurations of cars and give us some good entertaining racing. You know, it's obviously helping a lot the action with these different strategies that the drivers have been taken. As we watch Urbano with his high downforce setup working his way onto the penultimate corner. Already on lap 15 out of 29. Again, it's such a short circuit. You just fly through the laps here. So already over halfway through the race. So the quick confirmation of a top 10. So Christoph Urbano, as we're looking at, in that lead position. After he had a little bit of a battle with Sapala at the start, not really looked back from there. Sapala then in second with Manuel Domingo close behind in third. Francesco Fiorani then in 4th under lots of pressure still from Paul Ilbrink in 5th. Phil Reed close behind still in 6th. And Hono Kynan in 7th. Edward Samborski then in 8th. Nachi 9th. Mallow 10th. And Ilbrink doesn't quite make the move. That is on Fiorani and stays in that 5th position.
Yeah, just has to stay close. Half a second behind. Like I said, 0.8 of a second you want to be within coming out of the penultimate corner. By the way, if you want to keep an eye on the caps, click on the live timing link in the description of this video. We've got a couple of monitors. Load it up on there, and so you can see everything that's going on in the race. The intervals between each of the drivers, their last lap, and also their best lap as well. And
Samuli has very kindly posted the chat command to bring the link up in chat as well, so you can grab it from there if you need to. But like I say, yeah, our timer screens have been looking pretty green for a large portion of the race. So it seems like tyre wear hasn't been coming into effect really so far. I've seen lots of personal bests clicking in still for different drivers. Phil Reed last time by got his fastest lap of the race so far. So he's still looking and feeling pretty strong, it seems, in that 6th position. He still feels like he's got a sniff of certainly a 4th maybe of nabbing Ilbrink and Fiorani ahead, as I see Ilbrink challenging Fiorani just in front, but not close enough again that time by. So like you say, Sam, he needs to be 2-3 attempts closer coming off the final corner, and he might have a chance, but it's just not really, it seems, a way for him to do that. He needs Fiorani to make an error in the infield to hand him that advantage.
Yeah, seemingly. And even through turn 2, immediately Fiorani pulls out a gap. I mean, it's already up to 0.9 of a second as we speak, and before they were side by side. That's just the pace that he's got through the corners. Of course,
it's so frustrating, isn't it? You know, you come across a start-finish line, you have a little sniff into turn 1, and then they just wander off into the distance, and you got to wait again for another opportunity on the next lap. It's it can get quite frustrating quite quick. So it'd be interesting to see, because there's a few guys in that position, you know, with these downforce differences, whether frustration starts to kick in as we get towards the end of the race, and whether we get a couple of little lunges and little moments of mist come through maybe as someone tries to desperately make a move that's not really on. But here's Kynan looking to pressurise Reed, but Reed's got that low downforce, so I don't really see what's happening into turn 2.
Seemingly not. Reed just about immune to that attack at the moment. Herbino 4 seconds ahead of Sipler, so he was 2/10 faster on that last lap. But like I said earlier on, the gap about maintaining Herbino's earlier pace, being able to build up this gap that currently exists, really quite useful. It's a nice little cushion for him for this event. Domingo 2.5 seconds further behind. Then it's Fiorini leading that big chain. And last lap, Domingo had a very poor lap. He was 1.4 seconds slower than the race leader, so undoubtedly made it a mistake. But as long as he gets back to his normal pace, he should be okay from the drivers behind. Of course, we'll give a thanks to everyone who's tuned in to this video so far. Really good viewing thing, so thanks for enjoying this so far. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a like on this video and also subscribe to Apex Racing TV if you wouldn't mind. We'd mega appreciate it. Paul Ilbrink then still 1.2 seconds behind Fiorini. Kynan 0.2 of a second behind Reed, but losing time despite being in the depths of the slipstream and not get past. And it's almost as though we're getting into a bit of a repetitive cycle now, Lee, where no one can actually overtake one another. If you've got high downforce, then you're attacking, then you can't get it done on the straights. And if you've got low downforce, you can't get close enough going onto the straights.
Absolutely. You're right, it's just stagnating just a little bit now. And that's what's making me wonder whether we are going to see frustration start to kick in as these guys can't quite make the moves that they're looking to. Ivo taking up the call there of the YouTube subscription, so thank you very much there, Ivo. But yeah, back on track. Really, Reed is under lots of pressure now for Kynan. So this is the opportunity for Kynan. Can he make that move around the outside like we saw Fiorani do a couple of times to Sipler? Here we go. He's looking for it, but he's not wide enough on the apex, so he just ran out of space. But he makes a late lunge. Paul Reed sees it, or Phil Reed, sorry, sees it coming. Just barely gives him the space. Cracking driving from Reed there to not quite take the apex. And we saw Kynan had the right idea, but he needed to have taken a much wider line on the apex of Lukey Heights and actually be in position then for the move. Watch Phil Reed now drive away.
Yeah, he kind of backed out of it initially, didn't he? And then he went for a very late lunge. I'm not sure how deliberate that was. It looked very intentional. That was a very ambitious move. Maybe, like you said earlier on, just frustration setting in for these drivers. Zamborski catching up by 0.3 of a second on that last lap, catching up to these guys. Not too many battles going on further down the order. We've got Roccatelli versus Porcelli, which might ignite those two. 1.2 seconds between one another, setting very similar laps that last time round. But this is certainly the best battle going on out on circuits. Kynan, again, on this seems to be the best opportunity, the second hairpin for these high downforce drivers, because they got so much more pace through this left-hander. Down the inside goes Kynan. Certainly much more of his car alongside this time, and he spins it round. I don't think there was contact.
No, don't think so. Just lost the rear.
Loses to Noel as well.
Yeah, let's say that still looked ambitious on the braking zone, but from the off-board camera, it looked like he took a better line, at least through Lukey Heights, to be more alongside where he had the downforce rather than tucked up behind. But yeah, got his nose in. Phil Reed gave him the space again. And yeah, like I say, unfortunate for Kynan there. Just could not quite keep that rear under check once he got the power on, I think. So Reed now can focus on trying to claw back it up to Paul Ilbrink again after just dropping off a little bit after all the attention from Kynan behind.
Yeah, could certainly free him up a little bit. Already gap down to 1 second. Fiorini, yeah, pretty much maintained the gap to Domingo, so it's still 2 seconds between those two. They are incredibly evenly matched, all these drivers, despite having their strengths and weaknesses. By the way, track temperature out there, 23 degrees, so quite cool for these drivers. 18 degrees air temperature, and also 6:20 in the evening as well. So the sun's setting slightly, and of course it's also the 19th of October. iRacing doing a very good job at always having the dates appropriate to the week that we are racing. course, this is southern hemisphere, so it's actually closer to the summer solstice than the winter. So slightly later sunset out here, but still looking absolutely fantastic out on circuit. Locatelli, like I said, that this battle could ignite, and it has certainly ignited. 0.3 of a second ahead of Porcelli. We'll see what downforce levels these two are running now. By my eye, I say Locatelli is running really low downforce, but Porcelli's running not too much downforce himself. Might go for a move into turn one. Here he goes, pulls out. Just that overspeed, neutralizing ever so slightly, but does get his nose ahead round the outside into turn two. Locatelli backs out of it, probably wisely, and Porcelli moves up to 11th place.
Yeah, like I say, Locatelli did move out, did back off that really, really early, didn't he? But yeah, both these guys recovering from instants earlier on, and an instant then from Julian Nachi as well. Must have been on the power coming off the Honda hairpin, and rear spinning him around into the barrier. So let's have a look if that is indeed what happened. Hot braking on the outside curb. Turn in looks pretty good, almost on the apex. Now we get on the power, and yep, round it goes. So easy just to loop it off of a slow hairpin there. These little single seaters are, there's a lot of power to not a huge amount of weight.
Yeah, maybe those tyres overheating, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue, but also the wear as well. Not quite the same grip as they had earlier on. Ilbrink getting closer again to Fiorini, immediately drops 0.8 of a second behind. It feels like we've seen this a few times already.
Oh, and Ilbrink just lose it, right on the limit as he goes into Honda hairpin there as well. I can see Ilbrink losing the front and the rear sort of mid-corner on the hairpin, but such as his experience, it barely cost him any time. There we go, see the tyres overheating from that earlier moment, I guess, and it steps out again. So now Phil Reed is right back on him all of a sudden, and if he could just stay with him through the infill section, and we'll see what kind of job he can get done down the pit straight. Samborski's still lurking there in the background. He's never been that far behind, just waiting to capitalise on these opportunities. He's gained one place from Kleinen getting that tangled up earlier on, and we'll see if he gains any more. Reed just dropping off of Ilbrink ever so slightly through the final corner, but what kind of toe effect? Ilbrink feels like he needs to defend, so he's expecting Reed to come, and he is. Reed's closing. Not quite giving enough for turn one. Is he going to make a lunge into turn two? He's taken the outside line. Ilbrink covers it off, and close, but no real opportunity for a move quite yet.
Yeah, similar downforce levels are these two. Reed doesn't want to do that too much, as we've seen earlier on. Getting the power down is one of the biggest difficulties with this car. And you add a little bit of grass in that mix as well. Doesn't help the situation by any means. Really staying very close there is Reed, 3.5 tenths behind on that last lap. He was 1.2 seconds faster. Fiorini actually the fastest lap of the race on that last time out. 14.06. I think that's about 3 tenths faster than anything else he's been able to produce. Unfortunately, it's all come a little bit too little too late for him. He's still 1.8 seconds behind Domingo, despite being 6.5 tenths of a second faster that last time rounds. But certainly no tyre issues for him by any means.
Yeah, strange. Where did that come from?
Yeah,
he didn't look like, unless he might have had tow from a lapped car. I see car in position 15 a little way behind him now, but otherwise there's no one else on track around him, so he didn't have any tow, and he, like I say, just banged in a lap that he could have presumably been doing earlier on in the race. So maybe it's just taking him some time to get into a groove and really find where he wants to be. But then this lap, he was kind of back to normal again. 14.5, good, but half a second slower than his previous one.
Yeah. Don't get any bonus points for fastest lap, of course, in this series. iRacing formula doesn't factor that into these drivers' iRacing by any means. But all about where you finish. Nothing for qualifying, nothing for fast lap. Just about your finishing results. But he should be okay from behind. In fact, actually, he's now down to 1.2 seconds to Domingo. So Domingo, I think, with a little bit of a slide earlier on in this lap, and this battle, which was occurring probably about lap 5 or lap 6, might just happen again 20 laps later, and he got a handful of laps remaining.
Yeah, time is certainly running out, and as you say, we've not really had much more movement in the top 6-7 positions for the last little while. Just saw a change of position. Here we go on screen between Bohr and Nilsson though, so Rob Bohr just getting ahead of Nielsen down the front straight. Nielsen having a little sniff into turn 1, but I think Bohr's going to have this covered off into turn 2. And indeed he does. Nielsen takes it very easy indeed. As is that Sipala? Yeah, Sipala coming to lap him as they come through the exit of turn 2.
Incredible lap that time from Urbano, 13.71. I think he got a slipstream, as you were saying earlier on, Lee, using that back marker to his advantage, maybe deploying the DRS and set an absolutely incredible time, 3.5 tenths faster than anything else anyone has been able to produce. Gap up to 6.5 seconds. Hasn't been total domination because for the most part of this race he's been matched by other drivers, but he's had a couple of kind of 5-lap spells where he's absolutely streaked ahead, and this will be quite a comfortable race win as long as he can hang on for the remaining 3 laps. Reed's 3 tenths of a second behind. Ilpink Fiorini now 1.6 seconds back behind Domingo, so he was catching, but fallen off once again. Zamborski, he hasn't really been fighting with anyone this entire race, so he might have maybe a little bit more tyres left. Here he goes around the outside of Reed. He's got decent straight line speed as well, but I think he deliberately backs out of that one, realising that the move into turn 1 would have been extremely precarious.
Yeah, like I say, Samborski seems like he's taking a real solid approach to the race and not looking to take any real risks, and that's paid off for him very nicely. As we said, gained 4 positions from his starting slot, so looking like he's going to get himself a nice little handful of points for the official iRacing Championship. So the only close battle that we're seeing on track at the minute is these 3 cars on screen at the minute: Ilbrink, Reed and Samborski. I'm seeing white labelled intervals in our timing screen for everyone else, which means everyone else is a second or more apart throughout the field. And yeah, it's all going to be a matter of who's going to get this 5th position. Guys are just coming across a back marker as well, though, I think. So Ilbrink just needing to negotiate that as they come through. And he does indeed. How is Phil Reed going to get tangled up on that final corner? Phil Reed's just going to lose out a little bit, I think. So Ilbrink has got a bit of breathing space now for this last lap, or 2 laps to go, sorry.
Yep, lap 28 they're now starting. By the way, the next round of this series is going to be, as I frantically look at the schedule, it'll be Montreal.
What a different circuit.
Yes, exactly. Thoughts on that? Have you done much racing in the old Williams round Montreal?
Yes, I did. Definitely did at least one World Championship race in the Williams around Montreal. I love the circuit, but I'm just not fast on those type of chicanes where you really got to get up on the curbs. That's always been my issue. So yeah, it's a fun circuit to drive, you know, challenging with the walls and trying to take as much curb as you can, especially of course on the infamous Wall of Champions final chicane. But yeah, I just never really managed to hook up those type of circuits, unfortunately. But for sure, it's another great single-seater track. It's very, very different from here, of course, where all these long, fast sweeping corners where the guys can make use of that downforce. It's super, super quick, lots of acceleration, lots of hard braking. And again, for these nimble, light little single-seaters, yeah, it's a great fun track. I dare say we'll get some good racing there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Some real specialists around that circuit as well. As you were saying, like quite a unique circuit with the high curves for almost every corner is chicane. Hopefully we'll see a good turnout as well. Good turnout today, actually. 36 drivers signing up for this event across 2 splits. And I think Montreal will have decent turnouts as well. Well, Paul, by the way, standing 13th place. Had to take a pit stop. Very quick though, catching the race leader's time. So what could have been for him out there. Also, thanks to Matthew out there for the kind comment about commentating. We try our best, safe to say. But here comes Christoph Herbner. He's tried his best, and it's been more than enough to take the race win here today. Christoph Herbner crosses the line. He takes the checker flag at Phillip Island. A brilliant performance from him. A long way clear of the rest of the field. You can barely see them in the background. Sipolo will finish in 2nd place, and Domingo will finish in third. Fiorini's in the end a long way behind in fourth place, about 5 seconds behind. Don't quite know what happened right at the end for him. But car number 10 with a decent result. Ilbrink and Reed rounding out the top 6 drivers, with everyone else just crossing the line at the moment. And Lee, what I'd say an interesting race, a fascinating race when it comes to the setup. It's really rare that we see such contrasting styles of setups out here on the circuit. But I think particularly for those first few laps, it made it really, really entertaining for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So it seemed like it took like the first half of the race or so for it all to sort of shuffle out, didn't it? And for those downforce configurations to end up in the kind of a correct position. And then after that, as you say, all the little differences with setup choices that drivers have made just meant then they were kind of stuck in the positions that they were. So I dare say that Ilbrink, arguably is faster than Domingo and Fiorani in front, but his setup configuration, his choice, just didn't allow him then to make any further positions. So yeah, first half of the race cracking, second half of the race interesting, but like I say, yeah, the positions then were pretty much settled from there. It was still great to see though how close the field was for the most part generally. So on the very last lap, the top 8 guys lap times were in half a second of each other. So that's great to see for the series. It just shows how strong the series can be when we've got a participation in strength of field races like this. And again, good signs for good races in the future as well if we've got this level of competition.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks to any drivers watching this back for putting on such a great show for us. Makes it a much more enjoyable experience for us, of course. Hopefully we'll have some interviews with drivers. At the moment, we don't have anything, but of course we've still got about 10 more minutes on air, so maybe go back to the first lap or so, where we had quite a bit of change off the line. It was a really poor start, seemingly, from the driver who started in second place, which was Fiorini, straight away dropping down into fourth position. And managed to almost make it back up, but some brilliant dueling in those very early stages. And we are just going back to that start. So Herbino got a fantastic start, actually. Although I think he lost the lead momentarily. Sipala, I guess with that low downforce, probably really fancied his chances at the start. And also the Joe who started in fourth place in Domingo as well got a bigger start. Sipala took the lead then, very momentarily, and then just didn't have the grip to hang on to it through the next few corners.
Yeah, it just looked like an awful start from Fiorani, didn't it? As soon as the lights went out, he just went backwards, it seemed, and everyone else just drove by him. But like I say, Sipila, they're challenging for the lead straight away on Herbino. Great action further back as well with Nachi, I think it is, there in amongst things. Plenty of side-by-side. One little spin on the inside of Honda hairpin there that we see, but otherwise look pretty clean first time round. And Nachi just getting pushed out wide there, was it, on the exit of Siberia as well. Yeah, certainly very, very busy first lap, but say for the most part, it was really pretty clean. Looks like almost by the second half lap, everyone pretty much got themselves shuffled out single file, and it was just, like I say, the infield that really was messy. A little bit of squabbling just off onto the penultimate corner there. But otherwise, yeah, good job. Those corner turn 2 on Honda hairpin on the first lap can get really, really messy. Again, especially in the single seaters where you can't have any contact at all, really. So it looked like everyone did a decent job of getting by.
Yeah, it was a very impressive first few corners. Everyone with good spatial awareness, and for that entire race as well. I had a few knocks here and there, but all of them were quite innocent incidents where drivers just understeered ever so slightly into one another. Certainly a lot of respect among these drivers. They race against each other every week or so. Augusto got involved in a collision earlier on. So to say he wasn't best pleased with what happened, judging by his comments on the YouTube chat. But so this is actually what happened to him. So going through the Honda hairpin quite happily, driver spinning just ahead, and then just getting tapped in behind. A little bit of netcode, although I think the contact would have occurred anyway. And Augusto off the circuit, and that must have been the terminal damage.
Yeah, Augusto, like I say, yeah, really didn't get the rub of the green in the start of a race there at all, as you say, and yeah, he knows he's in trouble as soon as he tries to take the very first right-hander there immediately after. And I think, understandably, Augusto was not particularly happy through the rest of the races. He watched the remainder of the session, so hopefully he's had some decent races already this week, and has got a banker or two in with a bit of luck, and he can move on then, as you say, to Montreal for next week.
Yeah, just looking at the championship standings then going into this round. Leader of the championship was Herbner, so that will be really positive for him. I believe this is the highest strength of field in the week, so that will really bolster his chance. He was only just ahead though of Lubomir Moich, who was not here today. Sipler was in third, and then there's Delisle, who we haven't seen for a couple of weeks. Very quick driver though is Tim Delisle. Hasn't done all the week, so that's probably why we haven't seen him. Then Jose Langer in fourth place. Rob Bohr in sixth. He had a bit of a nightmare today, did Bohr, getting shuffled down at the starts, and I pretty much have no doubt that he'll score higher points than today. At some point in the week, this could well be his drop week. And then also Augusto Fiorini, Samborski, and Ilbrink rounding out the top 10. Of course, we kind of need to keep an eye on that as the season goes on. A lot of those drivers not doing a couple of weeks, which has knocked down their amounts of points. And it will only really become clear after about week 10 or week 11. But certainly the seeds of a good championship being planted for these first few rounds, because we've seen a lot of different winners so far this season, Leanne. I think, unfortunately, with most races, we've kind of seen one driver pull away from the rest. But hopefully we're going to see a few of these very top drivers properly take each other on for a few of the future rounds.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. It has tended to go like that, hasn't it? We've tended to have one car maybe with a pretty comfortable buffer in the race, but for sure it's not been the same driver every week. So, as you say, as drop rounds start to shuffle themselves into position later in the season, maybe, like you say, the top contenders will feel the need to take this strength of field race in the broadcast. And like I say, fingers crossed we see a real good battle for the top 3-4 positions. But I say we saw some good fights for fourth and back through a majority of races. We watched Porcini taking that move on Sipler there through the infield and driving off the exit. But Fiorani, wasn't it? Sorry, not Porcini or whichever made up Italian name I decided to come up with on that one. But yeah, Fiorani, sorry. But yeah, no, like I say, for sure it'll be good to see the battles right at the sharp end as the championship comes to a head a little bit more. It's been very close so far, so hopefully the top of the standing stays tight through the rest of the season, and then we can see this continue to develop. Been good to see a couple of the guys a little bit further back get some strong positions as well. So like I say, Phil Reed with the only B license in the field getting a real strong sixth position, and easily could have been challenging for fifth or fourth had things just fallen his way a little bit more. So it'll be interesting to see how different guys progress through the season. Some different names coming and going as well during the weeks, and it's good to see hopefully the series in a strong position and gaining drivers hopefully.
Yeah, definitely, and a little bit kind of loosely attached. But next season, I mean, we're really hoping with the Porsche series ending that we will have a single-seater championship for next year. And of course, these drivers are going to be some of the favourites to qualify potentially if there is a qualifying series for season 1 starting in December. And that would certainly be a massive boost for this championship. Hopefully, if it is going to happen, iRacing are going to announce it soon, because then I'm sure there'll be an absolute influx of drivers. Providing that they use this Renault 3.5 car, they could use the MP4-30. Could use the Formula 3 car, but I doubt that.
Could use a different single-seater as well, maybe. Yeah. Who knows what options there are? There's IndyCar as well, of course. So who knows what they'll go for? I think it's all going to come down to if there's someone prepared to put up some prize money. I think that's what it's going to come down to. So if someone steps in NASCAR or Porsche style, then they're gonna jump to it. But who knows? We shall see. But for sure, we're over here in the UK, obviously we're all about the single seaters in terms of the pinnacle of motorsport, and it's a real shame in iRacing for there not to be a world championship event with single seaters. So who knows? We hopefully we don't have to wait too much longer to find out what's happening for next year.
Yeah, and certainly when you don't have a certain German and a certain Finnish driver winning the vast majority of those single-seater races, it's really entertaining as well. I think certainly last season, first half of last season was thrilling. I mean, to watch it. I think you could watch it even if you're not a sim racing fan, just out of kind of pure enjoyment, because it was so unpredictable with the tyres. iRacing absolutely nailed the degradation, really forcing the drivers to make a couple of pit stops, and with no driver dominating, it was very entertaining. But I'm sure in the Formula 3.5, not quite so large setup differences as we saw in the McLaren Honda previously. So you'd expect them to be a whole lot more competitive, a lot more drivers winning races, and certainly in the 3.5, maybe could even do maybe a reverse grid race, a bit like what they've done with the Porsche Super Cup Esports series. So plenty of potential, and like I said before, these drivers go and beat some of the favourites and go and get a massive head start if iRacing do suddenly drop that bombshell onto us.
It's going to be a real shock to them, though. If it is a 3.5 car, you have these regulars, obviously, who, you're right, know the car and are really, really good in it. But oh boy, it'll be a shock to them when some of the pro guys or ex-WCS guys come in who need to qualify and really show them what the car can do.
Would be trying to qualify, and these guys seem to deal with him quite well. But as you say, I'm sure the Coanders and the Red Lines and of this world would be quite daunting for these guys to deal with.
It's another level, isn't it? But like you say, experience still counts. Yeah, so you got the experience in the cars, you got the knowledge of the setups and just how the cars develop through races. It's going to help. So it'd be great to see some of the guys at the sharp end be able to get involved. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Who knows what's going to happen with the next WCS series? Right, I think we skipped over the actual race results when we moved on initially to looking at the race start. So if the overlay can bring that up for us, and it can, Samuli dutifully manages to get it to bring it up. Let's just clarify or confirm rather what the race results were. So Christophe Herbinot did take the race win, as we said, 6.87 seconds. Looked pretty comfortable for him once he got past Sipala, who finished in that second place. Manuel Domingo then in third, with Fiorani in fourth. Second and a half it ended up between those. So Sam was talking about how that ebbed and flowed in the last few laps. 1.5 seconds it ended up at. Paul Lilbrink then further 2.5 seconds back in fifth, with Phil Reed never quite able to get that move done on Paul Lilbrink in sixth. Edward Samborski with a very strong seventh, with Hone Kainen in eighth. Julian Nucci recovered from an incident earlier on to finish ninth, with James Mallow. We didn't really see him on track. I feel like maybe he had a pretty clean race and managed to maybe get that 10th position by keeping his nose clean. David Porcelli then in 11th, with Roccatello in 12th. Both had incidents, as did Rob Burr, who finished a lap down, Andres Nilsson 14th, Thomas Knoll in 15th, and Bruno Canovas, who again I'm not sure we really saw on the stream, unfortunately, 2 laps down. And then we saw incidents that took him out the race for Gadamaya and Ronaldo Augusto. So obviously it was 2 splits out here tonight. So two races of 18 drivers each.
Yes, I mean, I think that pretty much rounds us off for this thing. I'm going to go and watch some Brexit personally, as I'm sure everyone else in the UK have been glued onto. The letter's been sent. I won't go into it. It's very funny. It's like watching like EastEnders or something. It's quite entertaining to watch it all unfold. Completely unrealistic. I mean, it could never happen in real life. But no, we'll see. Maybe that, and of course, hopefully you'll join us back next week at Montreal for another round of the iRacing Formula 3.5 series, of course on Apex Racing TV. Please subscribe and leave a like on this video, because if you do subscribe, then you can watch all our other events coming up over the next few days. Nothing tomorrow, but then on Monday we don't
sorry, just to pause there. Sorry, tomorrow we have Aussie Mixed and Fixed.
Oh, of course, yes.
So the Australian series, they are also at Phillip Island, coincidentally. So that is some great GT racing over there. Tends to be really a good high level and really, really competitive in that field. So that'll be good to see. Rickmansett GT Challenge then on late Monday night for us in Europe, or Tuesday for the Americans. Tuesday morning then in the EU for the official IMSA Sports Car Championship. And then Friday for IndyCar Series back at Brands Hatch before we return to 3.5. That's what's on Apex Racing TV's YouTube channel. And then being broadcast by us on the iRacing Esports Network. Tuesday evening, 8:15, the BSR MX5 Pro Series. Wednesday night, Sim Racers World GT Pro Series. Thursday night, ARL TCR Winter Series. Been some crazy racing in there over the last couple of weeks. And then that does wrap up what we've got lined up for next week. I may have skipped World GT Championship on Monday. Have they got a race this week? It's the 19th. And they have got a race on this Monday. So World GT Championship also on the iRacing Esports Network.
Awesome. So all those fantastic events to come up in the next few days, and certainly do check them out, and also check out next week's Formula 3.5 series. So from me, from Lee, and from Sam as well, we'll say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.